What's the real reason AI matters in automotive? It's not just to automate follow-up or plug into a CRM. It's because most dealerships are still playing catch-up while the entire retail experience has already changed. I'm Michael Rodriguez, and after nearly 2 decades inside the auto business, working with sales teams, dealer groups, tech vendors, and innovators, I knew we needed something different. Automotive intelligence was born out of that frustration and that calling to build a bridge between bleeding edge AI and the people doing the real work on the front lines of retail automotive. What the prompt is our way of taking that conversation further, faster. Each week, we're going to go deep with the mind shaping the future of this space. No fluff, no vague buzzwords, just real insights you can actually use to sell more cars, serve more customers in the drive, and future-proof your store. Today's guest is Bryan Xu, CEO of DealerAI. We're going all in on multi-agent AI systems, why customers expect personalization from your store, and the million-dollar question: does AI actually help you sell more cars? If you're a GM, dealer principal, internet director, finance manager, sales rep, or even a vendor or OEM rep, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, like this episode, and share it with someone on your team or in your network who needs to hear what's coming next. Let's get into it. Bryan Xu, the CEO with DealerAI. AI is one of the biggest shifts in automotive retail we've seen in decades, but there's still so much confusion around what it actually does and how it impacts dealerships and customers. Bryan, let's start with the foundational question. Let's start a little bit about who DealerAI is, who you are, and let's go from there first.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's an honor to be here. DealerAI. DealerAI is a product created by a company called IdeaNotion. Okay, so we are a Toronto-based company. IdeaNotion's been around since 2009. The company's been doing a lot of custom software development work. So it's been working with a lot of the various different OEMs, even companies back in Germany as well. So the parent company really dabbled into a lot of the automotive space, but really the focus wasn't so much at the time over on the consumer-facing side, more on the back-end business side. Like we would work with OEMs on how to explode their bomb, so to speak, on the manufacturing side, the build of material side of things, and how you consolidate, how you manage better resources between your manufacturing processes versus your sales capabilities, and then with the forecasting and the capability to build the cars, how you then find out that equilibrium, that balance. Okay, so we did a lot of work in that area. That's kind of how we got into the auto space. Sorry, kind of a long story, but then we we also then few years ago we started working with the auto show here in Toronto, the biggest auto show in Canada. Okay, so in which case we got to interact with a lot of the minds in the industry. We interacted with a lot of dealers, dealer groups, some folks from various different OEMs. Now, it also kind of came from a personal story as well. Okay, so there was one day I went to a Volkswagen dealership. I helped my father shop a car, okay, specifically the Tiguan. And I had one thing in mind. When I helped him buy the car, I wanted to instill my preference, okay? So my preference was I want nothing but a black headliner. So I asked the sales lady, which trim do I need to get in order to get the black headliner? Okay, because
Yeah.
I myself bought a different car before. I didn't know, and I got this white headliner. I didn't like it, and so I was like, okay, that was it. But you know what? The sales lady couldn't answer me.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
didn't know, and I was like, okay. And then I had to start asking the manager and, all sorts of different people in the dealership in order to find out. I went on to the site. I went on to the OEM site, the dealership's website, trying to find that information. I couldn't find that information. Okay. Well, eventually I was able to find it in the spec sheet of the OEM site. So it's in there. So it kind
Yes.
of, it started to, it got us thinking, okay, this is such a huge gap. Like I have, consumers have their specific preference, but when I get onto, a chat tool, back then it was all just live chat. Okay. There's no AI, nothing like that. Nobody can answer any questions. Okay. I just want to get the information. It doesn't mean at that particular moment, I'm going to give you all my information. I'm going to put down deposit and buy that car. But whoever is
Right.
able to help me,
Right.
that's when will kind of shift my decision towards that, right? So we see a huge gap there. And because of our kind of experience in the auto space and, our other work with big data and AI that are starting to do that, we eventually decided in the company that we are going to invest and build a solution like that. And that's kind of how DealerAI is born.
I definitely get that. As a salesperson, my thought would be, if I had you and you asked me that question, I says, that's a great question. That's going to be in the different types of environment based on the trim level. Let me check which headliners have that requested. But hey, real quick, Brian, let me ask you, did you have any issues with the white headliner? What is it about the white headliner that you didn't like? Is it just that you dislike it? Did you spill something? Were there drops on there and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, it was purely a personal preference. I like it dark, I like it. I felt
Yeah,
sleek. Okay. So, I mean,
yeah,
my wife, right? She's not going to look at any car if it doesn't come with 360 camera, because that helps her
got
park.
it.
Okay. Like, I think these day and age, everybody has that specific preference. And,
Yep,
whoever that is able to help the customer look for the things that, they're looking for is going to win. Okay. Um,
yep,
a lot of the dealers come to us and openly they tell us, okay, you're the second demo that I'm getting on. Okay. I am shopping for 5 different other solutions. Today is the buyer's world, right? Like when was the last time that you go on to you buy any sort of product in Best Buy that you require a Best Buy salesperson to help you? You go onto the website, you check out all the information, you go onto Amazon, you check out all the details, all the reviews, and you make that decision yourself. So maybe at the very end, there might be certain things that you need to confirm. And that's when you reach out to the salesperson. But people are so used to doing research themselves. Whoever can deliver that information is going to win. So we really, based on that gap, and really that becomes sort of the vision. We see an opportunity to use technology to bridge that gap and really then be able to enhance this interaction between consumers and auto retailers. Okay. The sales guys, I mean, this, right? You get onto you become a sales guy in the dealership. You're going to have to go through the OEM trainings whenever they have a new model that's released, right? Before COVID, they probably sent you to a site, and then you go through a day of training, and then you send you different materials. After COVID, everything is online, and they put you through a learning platform, and then you watch the videos and learn about the product and all that. That's how you learn the features of the new car, so you can then convey that message to the consumer. But even the sales guys and the cars are getting more and more complicated, right? Like we have OEM executive that came to us and be like, "Oh, I'm all day long I'm in WhatsApp copy and pasting the spec sheet to my
Right.
sales reps." It's like, okay, imagine if somebody can simply ask that question when that data is sitting there, right? And now I think technologies, AI specifically, has gotten to a point where it can really facilitate that and help with that.
Now, is that where mags come in? If you had to explain dealer AI to a dealership owner, a salesperson, or even a customer, how would you do it differently for each?
Okay. So I think for owner, they care about the ROI. All right, no question about that. Okay, it's either an owner or the executive at the group level. Okay, they care about the ROI. How much money can you save me? How much more money can we really get out of this? Okay, now we don't really go back and really survey, or we probably haven't done enough of that to say how much money have we made you. Okay, they don't tend to really tell us the real numbers or whatnot anyways. Okay, so we don't do that.
Right.
But what we do here the most though are two things. One is they look at whether any of the AI interacted leads can generate 1 to 2 sales per month. So the way they look at it is if it's able to generate one sale, just one sale, they pay off the program entirely and anything is net positive. Okay.
Yes.
And for the ones that we work with so far, we have fairly low churn rate. So I'm confident to say that they're all hitting that mark. Okay, so that's the first one of the kind of ROI evaluation that they do. Okay, can these leads? And I'm only specifically talking about sales, not even service. Service is a different ballgame where the lead doesn't necessarily directly translate into $5,000, or that maybe an F&I lead would be worth way more than an oil change lead, right? But then from the kind of the sales end, this is kind of how they see it. Now the other way that they see is currently there some of the larger dealer groups employ a team of BDC. Okay, so they look at it and be like, okay, how can I save the headcounts? Okay, so we kind of dabble into the conversation a little bit about AI replacing people. Okay, and we always like to say this is that the AI solution is not there to really replace people. It's there to help to achieve better efficiency. Help you do more. Okay, but they do look at it from that point of view. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are if the AI is able to so-called replace, but that replace doesn't necessarily mean that they are firing those people. But
Right.
those guys can then do better things, can then do other tasks. Okay, now what can AI help in for the BDC guys though is the first response, the constant follow up, right? We all know in this game it's all about the follow up and the consistency. So sales is about discipline. I mean, you know that if you are able to stick with your task, execute it based on the task that you have created for yourself, then you'll be successful. There's no magic. There's no, obviously everybody talk about, he's the best, has the best sales technique and all that, right? At the end of the day, discipline will win. Consistency will win. And having AI to help with that is to help establish that discipline and consistency. So the AI is not going to have a mood that day. Okay, you're not going to wake up with a headache or a hangover, and be like, okay, you know what? Today I maybe I'll hit the lower side of my target as opposed to the upper side. Right? It will always do the same thing
Right.
consistently. So that consistency is what they see as the gap. Going back to the earlier conversation, some of the dealers kind of painted really kind of long-term visions about how they envision the AI can do. Like they thought AI can do many different things, and some of the things might be a little bit far-fetched, but
Right.
so I was having this conversation. The VDC girl was thinking that it can do a lot of crazy things, like reach out to them, like immediately understand what car they're driving, what their mileage is at that particular moment that they interact and all that. And the owner immediately goes like, "But I don't even need to go to that far.
Yeah.
If if the AI can help me just get the response out consistently, that's a huge jump already from how we are
Right.
currently operating. And that makes a big difference.
Right.
And, but essentially that's kind of, so again, sorry, it's a long answer, but the owners are looking for, those type of things. The sales
Yeah.
guys, long story short, they're looking to see if the AI, after interacting with it, can the AI provide more information for them? Okay. Or disqualify them. Okay. If the
Yeah.
AI follows up 5 times and the person still ignores it, maybe that's, not so much of a hot lead, right? So you
Right.
can,
Right.
you can gauge a little bit from that, interaction. Yeah. And I mean, for consumers, really, they are, they should be able to use AI and do their own research, get the information immediately. I think the past experience of having live agents, the challenge with live agent is that it's the AI can immediately pull up a picture, display 10 cars. It's not a fair game, right? Like a human,
Right.
you can't expect a human to be like, okay, you know what, you're looking for a SUV that fits with all this sort of criteria. I got 5. By the time it does it, the guy's like, hey, it's taking too long. I'm gone. Okay. I'm
Are
off to
you
the
still
next guy.
there? Yeah. Are
Exactly.
you
Right.
still there?
Exactly. So, yeah, that's basically, kind of all of them. They're looking for different things, and this is kind of how we talk to them, and they see that business case, right?
Let's ask the $1 million question. Of course, every dealership leader wants to know one thing: does AI actually help sell more cars? Let's talk about the business impact.
I think the answer is yes. Now, you need to. It probably requires a little bit of paradigm shift in terms of approach and how you want to use AI. Okay. You need to understand that AI, you don't just install AI or have this buzzword AI. I'm using AI. All of a sudden, it's selling more cars,
Cars.
right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's. I think you need to understand how you use AI in which part of the business can you use AI that can then in turn lead you to sell more cars? Okay. So
And Brian, I love you're talking about this. I didn't mean to cut you off,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you're now talking the prompt.
The prompt. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. This is the prompt. What the prompt is you're talking about.
Okay. It's exciting. Yeah. So maybe specifically, right? Like, okay, so how can how can AI make you more money? I think we are, and there are various different AI usage. Okay. we are focusing on the customer engagement interaction side of things, right? So you can also use AI to help enhance your vehicle image, right? You can produce better advertising materials. You can use AI to do a lot of voiceover and create better ads and all that, right? So all that, I think that's AI as a broad term. You can have various different areas that you use, but I guess specifically for us, we're focusing on the customer interaction part of it. And the way to see it is that if you're able to engage customers better, if you're able to provide the information that your customers are looking for, then they're more likely to engage and purchase from you. Okay. I think dealers and still up to today, there are dealerships that still bear the mindset of, you know what, I want to hold on to my information. I don't want to give you the answer until you give me your information. Okay. Like why am I answering you the question when after you having received that answer can just go to the dealership next door? Okay. So this is what I mean by it probably requires a little bit of mindset paradigm shift from the dealerships. You got to understand that it is the buyer's world. People will do the research. We don't do internal kind of scientific research and whatnot, but I have seen a lot of the statistic numbers. I think more than 70, close to 80% of people will do their research online before they decide to buy a car, before they go into a dealership these days, right? It's you either go to the OEM site or you go to the dealership site and see whether there are specific promotions. Okay, maybe I mean, people know, right? Okay, maybe some of your cars are sitting in the lot for 30 days. You want to get rid of it faster. Okay. And if it fits with what I'm looking for, I might get a bargain. Right. I want to do that research. That's why they go on and look for it. So it's better that you provide the information upfront to them, knowing that when you deliver good value, it's reciprocal. They'll come back. Right. They'll come back. So, whoever can really answer better, engage better, understand their needs better. Some people go on there. We see a lot of these conversations, like real conversations. People will go on and be like, "My credit is it's not the best. Can you still help me with finance?" Right. If you're able to tell them, not simply say yes, but tell them why you can help them, explain to them. That makes a huge difference compared to the guys that's not able to. But how do you do that? Okay, if you outsource your chat interaction to a third party, those agents are not going to answer those questions. But if you feed such information into the AI is able to then help you answer those questions. Now you are adding value, right? So in that sense, if you're delivering value, it will definitely help you sell more cars.
This really came from my passion of customer experience. Just want to put that out there with you, Bryan. And you seem to be, we seem to share that because with that, you just wanted a great customer experience and it started with the headliner. And it was really, you're just asking a few questions, right? But you can tell pretty quick, like, wow, this customer experience may not go as planned because lack of follow up and information, kind of like the, can you help me with my bad credit? If I'm old school, I'll be like, definitely, what time can you get here? And then they're going to be there for hours and we're going to be at the same spot because they're a 313 and I don't have lenders and they don't have, anyway. You can provide an upfront customer experience, it sounds like, that will at least have more passion and feedback in it versus a get here, bring your steps, by the way, kind of response.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because and a lot of times, believe it or not, a dealer would call that a customer advocate because you're siding with the customer, which means you're just making it too easy for them, which means they're going to have less growth.
Mm.
Now, that's a taboo, of course, and I'm going to step in that water and walk through that with automotive intelligence, because you're giving up gross for a 5-star customer experience. That's really what it comes down to. When you treat your employees well, you're going to treat your customers well. You're going to get a great experience. And it sounds like you have that same heart. So I love asking you these questions. It sounds like Mags may be able to do that. I feel that with so many lead sources out there, it's hard to have a dealer's voice in those multiple top of funnel lead sources before it gets to the dealer's voice. And Mag, if I'm not mistaken, does that sit in the CRM and work on those chat when the leads get into the CRM? How does Mags work?
The way we portrayed it is that Macs and dealers ask these questions a lot, and they often ask, "Do you integrate with the CRM?" Okay, and I do think I also come from a tech background, so this word integrate sometimes is misleading. When I take the word integrate, it means tight, like we're married, we're together, okay, type of
Right.
core integration. But I think in the automotive space, the integration word is used a little bit more loosely, where if you have interaction with them, if you so-called go on a date, you're integrated, okay,
Yeah.
so to speak. So, but so the way we see it is we definitely interact with all the CRMs. We tightly integrate with some of the CRMs that are opened,
Okay.
that are more open, that are willing to um, uh, allow us to have such connection. Okay, so but largely we see how it sits in front of the CRM. So we're more in the space of a lead management system as opposed to
Okay.
the CRM. Okay, so
Okay.
exactly like you said, Max is about multi-agent. Okay, now Max really came along for us not as a brand new kind of revolution. Like it didn't we didn't just say, you know what, we need something that's different, so let's create something that's different. This really came as a evolution. And this evolution is because we were trying to achieve better performance and better accuracy. So the agents, the AI agents, you can look at it from a different perspective. One is you
Okay.
can, each AI agent can represent an area of focus. You can have a sales agent, have a service agent, you can have an agent that handle all the leads coming from car
Okay.
groups. You can have an agent that handle all the leads that are coming from trader. Okay. So
Okay.
at that point, you can then customize and really, be specific about that. Now you can deliver a different experience if you are, coming in from a credit application as opposed to you're coming in inquiring about a test drive opportunity, right? So the various different AI agents really focus on that, and I say that is an evolution is on the other spectrum of the multi-agent. The agent is meant to be iterative,
Yeah.
meaning that there are different agents that are sort of in a manager role. This agent
Got it.
is checking the work of the other agents. Okay, so and this really came about as as when we are in actual battlefield, when we are seeing the real conversations, when we initially created a single agent tackling, one area, and we'd be like, okay, well, it's the same line. You ask the same question. How come it's giving you the wrong answers 2% of the time? Okay, not all the time, maybe just 2 to 5% of the time. So there's a small percentage of inaccuracy that sits in there. But as you know, to the dealers, okay, you don't, it's not about whether you are 90%. It's about how come this conversation is wrong, right? And we want to achieve that optimal 100% accuracy. Now, obviously, I think that's the optimal case. I don't think we're there. I think we're at 98, 99% accuracy, meaning that there are still times where it's not the desired outcome that we have trained the AI to be. But Max with the multi-agent model is really to solve that problem. So that's why it's an evolution. It's what we have derived out from practice.
Yeah, and I always found it kind of funny whenever, let's say, an auto trader lead goes out to a rep and they're answering it like, "Hey, this is Mike at ABC Motors. Thanks for your request." I always found as a leader that when I was listening to calls and also checking responses on emails, we would have higher engagement when I would inform my team, "Hey, answer this way. This is Mike with your auto trader team at ABC Motors." You would see the engagement uptick just because that person's also clicking submit to all of the stores with those listings on Auto Trader. But I found they were more receptive. And I used to even have my headers. It would say Auto Trader and with the little logo with our dealership right there on it. And I would see more engagement with that because I always felt like use the door that the customer came through versus they didn't walk through our door. They walked through Car Gurus, Auto Trader. If they're true car customers, they walk through the State Farm door or USAA. And I just saw more. So I hear it. And I love that you said that because I haven't seen that yet. And maybe they are in the industry out there. Maybe I just haven't used them. But I love that you said that because that little bit of preciseness leads to higher engagement that us humans used to have to do and train and teach.
Yeah. I mean, how many promotional emails do we get every day? How many promotional texts do we get every day, right?
Every day.
Every day from all sorts of business, if you are that little bit of being a little bit more personal, makes a huge difference. I one of my friend told me this story. So she owns a Porsche, and she's like, "Oh, I got an email 2 months ago telling me that the lease is up, but I can clearly see that it's an templated automated email, even though I know for a fact that it is up." Okay.
Yeah.
I for whatever reason, I'm less inclined to respond to that. It's almost as if it's a promotional email. You know what? I can put that aside for a little bit because at that particular moment, I'm doing certain things. But then a couple weeks ago, she got a personalized text specifically saying her, marking her, telling her the exact models that she's leasing.
Wow.
Through her text. And she's like, okay, now I immediately respond, okay, so when can I go and deal with this? Right?
Yeah.
That little bit really goes a long way, right? You need to make people feel like the message is for you. It's not for 10,000 other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's specifically for you. I agree with that 100%. I'm very much about let's personalize your visit with us. Let's get into some hard numbers that your team has already acquired. Are y'all able to tell yet how much faster does AI convert leads into sales compared to traditional uh, follow up methods?
How much faster? I don't think we have the exact numbers, okay,
Yeah,
on the conversion into sales. So
yeah,
once the lead still needs to go to the actual sales guy because the AI is not closing the deal,
right, right.
right? But we can speak about the conversion to leads or the
Yeah,
enrichment of such lead. Okay.
right.
And for that we see about 15 to 25% of uptick in terms of
Yeah,
conversion. Okay. So
yeah,
we're talking about different channels. Okay. So a typical uh, chat, okay, the conversion for the industry is about 15 to 25%. Okay. So from conversation to conversion to a lead. Okay. For
yeah.
us, we're seeing 30 to 40%.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
For that. So,
Yeah,
so we're talking about chat. Now, in terms of
yeah,
handling, the, the,
yeah,
the incoming leads. So let's say you come from trader, really at that particular moment, it's already a lead, right? So to speak.
right. Good point.
So
Yeah,
the, the,
yeah,
the, the purpose of the AI at that point is really to acknowledge
yeah,
that, receival of the of the interest, and then subsequently gather more information. If they start from trader and say, I'm interested in this car, but I also have an old vehicle that I want to trade in, the AI will then engage and collect the information as what is the car that you're trying to trade in? What's the mileage? What is your described condition? Does it have any accidents and whatnot? So it enriches that lead. Um,
got it.
and yeah, so that's kind of the purpose on that side.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, my brain, I guess I put it all in one, lead to sell. And
No,
you're
no, no.
totally correct. Conversation, there's got to have the conversation. You got to have the date first. You got to dance first before you get there.
Right,
I do
right.
appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Are you all seeing maybe any improvement even in F&I profits? So in relation to what you just taught me and explained, do y'all have any F&I conversations yet or not yet?
Have
That's a tough one.
in terms of F&I conversations, as in, does it get into the F&I space, right? Like I think people are asking those um questions or F&I related questions, and
Yeah.
F&I is a critical area for any dealership. That's where they will make money, right?
Mhm.
So that is important. Now, with our multi-agent approach, what we see is that dealers will opt to create F&I specific agents. So
Okay.
that agent, now the the so-called AI agent has a different side of impact. So by creating agent, it's not the agent is there not just so that, okay, you know what, you're talking about sales or service, so I send a corresponding agent to you. More
Mhm.
importantly, it's how we are able to use the agent and say whatever lead that is about, the agent can decide to get and route to the right personnel in the dealership. Right. So the F&I agent, when people are talking about inquiring about those areas, when the F&I agent interacts and engages, that lead is sent to the F&I department. Okay.
Got it.
Some dealerships will say, you know what, maybe not just yet. Always get it to the sales guys first. Okay. So that depends on how they wish to operate. But we do see that they create F&I agents and just handle that specifically.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I got a lead last week from a regular customer, maybe went to our website and I responded within, 5 minutes and he responded back, I'm 800. What kind of rates do you guys got? I'm with Navy Federal Credit Union and, I'm 800. What kind of rates do you get? Fortunately for me, I'm a 25-year member with Navy Federal and a veteran. So I'm like, hey, great news. I'm also a veteran with Navy Federal. We're actually meeting, beating, and doing better many times. But every case is a case scenario. Let's make sure you like the truck first.
Right.
right back. Acknowledge and bridge it, right? And then keep going. So, yeah. I love that because normally you'll find that with I coin them the bulldog customers. A bulldog customer is really like, I want the best before I even talk to you again.
Just give me.
There's only 10%. Yeah.
Just give me your best price. What's the best price?
Yeah.
That's the single most asked question. What's the best price?
Do y'all get that a lot?
Oh yeah, we get that a lot. Oh, we see that a lot.
Yeah. And did y'all create the response on your own, or did you let the generative AI create that, or a mixture, a hybrid? How do you answer something like that?
It's a mixture of things. We provided instructions on the AI on how they how it should politely, professionally respond and tell them. Now, that might lead to a part where we can maybe talk about a little bit of customization. Okay. So, the AI itself with generative AI, and there is no secret about it. We are full transparency using OpenAI, okay, as the underlying model for that. Now, what we really have done with DealerAI is to create a infrastructure or a system, okay, that leverages the power of ChatGPT OpenAI. But at the same time, it doesn't become just a cookie cutter. It's more of a convenient system for dealers to easily adopt this area of the AI. Okay, so you can create such customer interactions. Now, every OEM, every dealership, even if you're just, two dealers right across the street, they all might operate differently. And sometimes, surprisingly, you will even see that even though they're so close, their demographics are different simply because of the OEM of the brand that they represent. The demographics are different. Now, we provide a infrastructure for them to really customize it so that it represents their brand. Okay. Some OEMs will have enforcements and say that when you refer to our personnel, you have to use this particular phrase. All right. In which case, we have the ability to train the AI with such information. It's still generative AI, but it's going to leverage certain part of, kind of what we add on top of it so that it knows how to respond in a certain way. Some will say, if you go to our site, you can see that our dealership is really out there. We are flamboyant. We are, we go crazy. Okay. We're not the, we're not the layback type. Okay. You see our site with all the different colors and all that. Okay. And we want the chatbot to have such personality as well.
Right.
So, so they can do that as well. They can customize that.
Would you say the mags is it more for conversation to generate the lead, or is it more for lead follow-up, or both?
Both.
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 Okay.
Yep.
Which is great. I can see an uptick in lead generation just from answering correctly. Yes, you have to get this trim level to get the black headliner.
Right. Right.
Great. Great. Let's progress. And I always call it progressing the deal. No
Yes.
matter what we do, everything we do in automotive internet is about progressing the deal, period. So it sounds like Mags progresses the deal to, or progresses the lead to being generated. Now, you and I both know most dealers struggle with lead follow up. How does and I love you already answered it. Mags isn't coming in hungover, or she's not sick, or I was raised old school car dealership with Joe Verdi, and he used to say, you put all your problems in a brown bag and leave it at the curb, and you go to work, right?
Right.
And then I'm also ex-military, so for me,
Okay.
everything is like I'm a task orientated human, and thank you for that, right? But not everybody's able to do that, and I think it comes down to emotions and media and everything we're ingesting, even podcasts and things like that, right?
Yep.
So is that what you feel, how DealerAI is able to make sure leads don't fall through the cracks, consistently responding, dialogue?
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
It's to help dealers, establish that consistency and disciplines. I mean, hey, there are dealerships that come to us. They might generate a lot of leads. Dealer AI can help with that, establish that consistency. We have dealers that when we help them do that, they come and enroll us and be like, that's exactly what we were trying to achieve, because we were just
beautiful.
not able to handle all those influx of leads. It's a great thing to
Right,
have, a great problem, but
right.
now you have a good solution for it too.
So let's say I'm doing a campaign like that. I'm at a store and I'm like, let me call Bryan. I need to set up an agent for that campaign. Is that how that's accomplished? Is there an agent? I log into a dashboard, create my agent, set up my workflow, maybe a 1-3-5 text, email, phone call. What does that look like?
Yeah, more or less like that. More or
Yeah,
less like that. Okay. It's less of a workflow. Okay. It's we also tend to um not want to add more work for the dealership staff. Okay.
right.
So a lot of the things are pre-programmed already. It's quite
Okay.
easy to get on.
Okay.
Really, it has a lot of different knowledge already about how to
Okay.
handle campaigns, how to handle different type of responses, so be it service related, be it F&I related, be it simply sales questions. It already knows a lot of those. More or less, you're really going up to not necessarily have to create all sorts of different agents. You're more kind of defining, okay, I want the follow-up cadence to be the following. I want to follow up, every 4 hours, and then maybe for if no response, follow up in another 4 hours or another day, or in the Facebook case, you might need to follow up within that permitted 24-hour window, different things like that. But it's not a Dealer AI is not a bot building platform.
Okay.
Okay, you see a lot of platforms out there that allows you to create your own AI chatbot. Okay, Dealer AI
Right.
is not a platform like that. It's more of a managed service system. So you
Okay.
go in there, you can provide some information, but it's really built around the automotive context. So a lot of the things it really already knows. Yeah.
All right. Sales teams are skeptical of AI taking over their jobs. But like you said, AI doesn't replace them, it empowers them. What does that actually look like for salespeople?
I think it's information. Okay. Information is the key. I think what you want the AI to do, in addition to what we just talked about, the establishing the consistency to do the activities that you know maybe traditionally do require the sales guys to do. Okay, so it can help you with those mundane tasks. If you have a customer on the floor, you're going to spend the time with the customer on the floor. That's more valuable than a unknown anonymous internet lead. So if you're spending the time with a customer on the floor while you have the back of your mind, hey, today I still have 10 tasks that I need to follow up with. Okay, but my clock is ticking. If I don't finish with him in time, then I might not be able to send out those follow-ups. But I also have a time constraint. Maybe I finish the customer at 6 p.m., but do I still send out those at 6 p.m.? Because there are certain hours that people are less likely to open, communications. So you should stay within a time frame window as well. With AI can really help you do that. In the background, AI can help you send out the follow-ups while you continue to serve the customers that are on the floor. Okay. I think that's where we see AI can help you do better. This is not to replace you, but really free you up so that you can do the better things. Focus on the more valuable lead that's right in front of you.
I get it. And I do agree with that, by the way. I agree with that. There's times where I can have a minimum of 2 customers, even though in my mind, I preset everything before their arrival, depending if it's just a presentation demonstration or if it's down to they want to come in, they already test drove the car somewhere else and they just want to take it home. I pre-screen and pre-prepare everything before they get there. And sometimes even if it's just let's say each visit was an hour and a half a piece, that's still 3 hours plus, more. And I still have 40 leads from day 40 to follow up with. And, I'm with you. Let's get into what's actually under the hood of DealerAI. How does DealerAI train its models to understand dealership specific data? Is it learning in real time?
It is. So under the hood, it's a lot of code, a lot of engineering. Circling back to what we talked about before.
Yeah.
When I say Max, multi-agent generated system, is exactly to prevent and safeguard hallucination.
Got it.
Because that's where I talk about what we wanted to achieve is high level of performance and accuracy. High accuracy means that there's no hallucination or less to or the minimum amount of so-called hallucination. Okay, so you can think of it, as a way of you always have to check your work, right? Whether you use a manager, whether there's a manager that checks your work, or whether you're self-checking your work. Okay, AI works the same way. You don't just start writing an email and start typing from beginning till end without doing any backspace. Right? Even if you do that, you might go back and read it again and be like, okay, hey, maybe I want to change the tone of it a little bit because, okay, this is an important one. I want to make some adjustment. So that's the iteration. That's the adjustment. That's how you that's how people make better work, by keep on checking, right? When my son goes to an exam, I always tell him, okay, well, even if you finish, don't get out, keep checking. Keep checking. This is how we went through when we were at school too. So it's the same concept. You just have to keep checking, and that's how it can then eliminate or reduce the hallucination to the very minimum.
I appreciate that. I do have one last question, and I know we're at our last minute, but this one will hit a diverse group for you to reach a different audience, possibly. Multilingual AI is a big deal, especially for diverse markets. How does Dealer AI handle multiple languages seamlessly?
So there are two. Well, we're quite blessed with the advancement of AI. Okay, again, going back to the pre-OpenAI era, era, we were really translating all the responses, because I was the AI, right? I wrote the response, and then I was gonna translate all the responses. Full transparency, that's how it was done. Now, OpenAI really brought it to the next level. It really helps to translate all that on the fly. So it already works out of box. That. Now, that being said, the solution has interface. Okay, so whenever we get the response, it's our solution also, it's rich text based. So it's, what I mean by is it contains media files. Okay, it doesn't just output pure text. It outputs videos. It outputs images. You can take in the AI can consume images and all that fun stuff as well. Now, those different interfaces are then correspondingly translated so that it matches what the customer's language is using. So that's the infrastructure that we really build up based on the language that they say. It will detect, and then it automatically just being able to respond in whether it's Spanish or French. For us here in Canada, there are a lot of different languages that are being used as well. Yeah.
Well, Bryan, I do appreciate your time this afternoon.
No, thank you.
I learned a lot.
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. It's a great conversation. Hopefully, this has been wonderful.
I will definitely be following up via email and getting a few more bits of information. I think we could have kept going, honestly.
I think so too.
I could have picked your brain a while, man. I was so engaged with it. But I do appreciate that. And if there's any questions you may have, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll reach out to you, and we'll go from there. All right.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, Michael.
Take it easy, buddy. Later.
Bye.